This family is on cloud 9. That daughter, Ananya Moiti, topped the ICSE Class 12 board exam with a whopping 99.5%. She can now take her pick from the creme de la creme institutes and pursue her chosen stream. But for the others, it's a neck-and-neck fight for college seats and an anxious wait till the final shortlist is out.
Even 95% is have to wait, then there's a long list of 95.5, 95.25. So even he has to struggle.
A city like Delhi, when students need to be going to, everybody's wanting to, or their parents think they need to go to Delhi University. And Delhi University also, North Delhi campus, or a few colleges of South Delhi campus. So, I mean, those places are like, even a 95 is not good enough now.
I think a 95 is the bare minimum that a student needs to get into Delhi University or to the reputed colleges of the university, because seeing last year's cutoff for the trend that has been there for the past 2-3 years, anyone would think that getting below 95 you don't stand a chance to get into at least a normal college in Delhi University, leave alone a Ramjas or a SRCC.
Anything you've associated college with, to get into something like that you need basically something above 96. So that was what I was aiming for, but of course it's so unrealistic.
The outrageously high cutoff marks of certain colleges of the Delhi University is one of the prime causes of concern for many students here. In fact, they firmly start to believe that even scoring above 90% in board exams is not good enough to secure a place in a college of their choice.
Not making it into their college of choice takes a serious toll on students every year.
India has the highest number of suicides for people between the age of 15 and 29 in the world, which is basically you're talking about the very young age bracket. Now, people between the age of 15 and 29 are the most impressionable people in the world.
18-year-old class 12 student of the CBSE board exam committed suicide by hanging himself. There were about more than 15 lakh students who appeared in the HSC state board exam in the state of Maharashtra, and out of which there were about 2 lakh students who failed this year's HSC board exams, which directly states that there are about 2 lakh students of the 12th standard exam who are currently reeling under the state of depression.
Newspapers are already rife with stories of those who give up and commit suicide. And helpline counsellors are working overtime. But there is a way to beat this. A bad report card need not mean the end of the line. Mirror Now report.
Every hour, one student commits suicide in India. Spike in suicides after the 12th results came out. We understand 12 students have already taken their own lives after they received their exam results. How do you cope with exam results? That's what we're focusing on this evening. We're dedicating an entire hour of primetime programming to the fact that over 1.5 crore students in our country have received their results now. And we understand that a lot of them are under tremendous pressure because, I mean, look at the list of the cutoffs from most of our colleges. 98%, 99.25% in some colleges in Delhi. How are these students expected to make those cutoffs? And if they don't, are we helping them out? Take a look at the data that's on your screen right now. These are actual cutoffs that are currently in colleges. Ramjas College in Delhi, 99.25%. Shri Ram College of Commerce, 98% for an economics degree. Stephens College, Delhi, 99%. Xavier's College, Mumbai, 94.4% for a humanities degree. Narsee Monjee College in Mumbai, 94.5%. These numbers are astronomically high. What happens to students who don't get these numbers? Where do they go? Who's looking out for them? And most importantly, for those who are watching, if you know of a young person who has just received their results, do you know the telltale signs of depression? Do you know if your child or your younger brother or your sibling or your cousin is in any way distressed? Can you tell? And shouldn't you? That's what we're focusing on this evening. Joining me on the show, Vithika Rahul is a CBSE counsellor joining us from our Jaipur studio. Our phone lines are also open, viewers. You can reach us and you can make a call. Paras Sharma is co-coordinator of iCall in Noida. iCall is a distress helpline that people can call if they are under pressure. Dr. Madhumati Singh is a senior psychologist joining us in Delhi as well. Harsh Desai is an academician and an entrepreneur. Firoz Bakht is a teacher. We also have Tilak Raj Rustagi, who is also a teacher, joining us in Delhi. Urvaksh and Nazneen are students who join us in Mumbai, and Zubin is a parent. I want to welcome all of you to this conversation right now. I'm going to start with Dr. Madhumati Singh. Dr. Singh, should we be worried right now about our children, or should we be worried about our siblings who've just received their 12th standard results? What are the telltale signs that someone we love might be in distress?
Absolutely. It's a complete distress and a huge upheaval that these youngsters and their families are going through. The first thing is that the telltale signs happen much before. For example, a child in 11th standard will and is going slow in studies. They are not able to cope up with either their subjects, or they're not able to cope up with what they want to do after 12th. So the alarm bells happen much earlier. It's just that family wakes up when the board results are on. So what is required is that the child after 10th standard, it is the responsibility of the parents to help the child get more information, that it is not just DU that we're looking at. Can you look at professional courses? First of all, what you want to do. A lot of times I have noticed, I have done school counseling, and I have figured out that a lot of pressure is basically from the parents because of lack of awareness, not for any other reason. And the second part is the peer pressure. So what happens is the child lands up going to in a wrong career choice. She or he likes art subjects, but arts is considered as a dull, dumb thing to do. So they take up science. And thus is a mismatch, and thus the kid doesn't get the marks. What after 12th? So the preparation, frankly, has to begin.
Dr. Singh, tell me, what are the telltale signs of depression? If there is a person we should be worried about at this point, how do we tell that they're depressed?
First and foremost thing is that the child is generally in low energy, is very sad, is irritable. Now, sometimes depression is misunderstood. We think only when a person is morose. The child is irritable, having mood swings, is not eating properly, is not sleeping properly, either too much or too little. And all of these, like I said, are telltale signs of pathogenic, is what we call as a biochemical depression, where the person needs medication, which is antidepressants. And sometimes it is psychogenic, which is because of the external environment. Let's say there's a stress in external environment, and the child is not able to cope up. So the telltale signs happen much before. And it is generally the lack of awareness of parents. What they feel is, the child is in a bad mood, has fought with the friend, is not able to cope with studies. So they give various excuses. Whereas if the symptoms stay for more than 4 weeks, the depressive low, the symptoms that I just mentioned, then the child needs to go to a professional psychologist, therapist, psychiatrist for some kind of treatment.
Paras Sharma is co-coordinator of iCall. iCall is a distress helpline. Paras Sharma, has there been a spike in the number of phone calls that iCall has been receiving over the last week or so? I'm going to take that question to Vithika Rahul, who also joins us, who's a counsellor. Vithika, from the people that you've been having conversations with, is there a spike in distress? Are young people under a lot of stress?
See, yes, obviously it is not only before the result that the child is under stress, but we observe a lot of stress after the result also. So the number of calls, because before the stress, they don't know what result is going to come. And after, when they get the result, the question is what next? Now the problem with us is that we stay in a very normative societies where we give a lot of importance to brands. Parents, in fact, when we get calls, there are lots of parents asking us with brand names and the percentage that is required for that. They don't discuss the alternatives with the children. There are just few courses that are given importance and few colleges. Now everybody cannot fall in that particular slot in which we are looking for. The biggest problem that I just agree with what doctor was talking about. The problem is that the signs of depression does not come suddenly. It is a gradual process, and it begins with very few things like not eating or not sleeping, and then it keeps increasing. But the problem is we do not look for these help signs from the very beginning. Suicide is not a sudden thing. Nobody can just take their life suddenly. So that is why, you know, the moment that parents realize there is some change in the behavior, maybe it's sudden temper tantrum, sudden anger outburst, it needs to be observed and that some kind of help is taken. Now parents are more worried about what next to do with the child. If the child is failing, then what next? But they don't ask us that our child is having these problems. Is it something to worry? I think they are more concerned about how we can help the child to get into college, not so much about the mental health. I think at this point of time, please understand the mental health of the child is much more important than admission to any particular college.
Right, and I want to bring in the parent here. Zubin, everyone points to the parents, unfortunately, in these conversations. The parents are putting a lot of pressure. The parents don't really understand what's going on with kids. Is that true?
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, coming to that point, I would, vouch that yes, parents do put a lot of pressure on the children to get a certain percentage because, nowadays the rat race is not just limited to the corporates. It's now more coming into schools, colleges, as in when,
But what's the worst that would happen, Zubin? If your child didn't make the 99% and got a 60% instead, what is the worst that could happen? That is not the end of the road.
Yeah, of course, I believe that that's not the end of the road. But then again, there's always a peer pressure and there's always, a pressure from the relatives saying that, what college your child would be, going in or, what kind of education he would be, getting in other colleges. Would he be getting any better education rather than going to an or a Narsee Monjee College, or maybe if he is going to a Lala Lajpat Rai College? Would there be a difference in the education system over there? Would the colleges would the professors be well enough to make them understand understand the topics of the game?
So it is, according to you, the problem that we don't have enough good colleges?
Well, I myself have studied in a college which was Lala Lajpat Rai College, of course, and I don't think so that we are short of colleges. But the only fact remains still is that good colleges have a certain amount of percentage cutoff to which the students have to adhere to. Now, I would say an X does not lead to Y. Now, if we say that a certain college is good enough, look at the cutoff percentage. If they are going to take 95% as a cutoff percentage, the result is definitely going to be better for that particular college.
Yeah, but who gets 95%? What sort of a cutoff is that? I don't even understand. Harsh, what sort of a cutoff is 99.25%? What is that class made up of? And it's simply, if you consider that your cutoff is 99.25%, look at how many people you are leaving out of that cutoff.
I think, Faye, if you look at it, it's majorly the people who used to score 80s 10 years ago are the people who are scoring the 95s and the 100s. So the focus has always been upon the people who are, able to game the system. I think the CBSE and the SSE board system is a very gameable system. You can easily game it. All you have to do is just rote learning. You exactly know what kind of questions are going to come up. You exactly know what kind of answers are going to be, given better marks. So it's a system which is not game-proof, firstly. Secondly, there is not a better alternative available right now. Like the CBSE exam boards just recognizes one kind of intelligence, which is, logical intelligence. It doesn't recognize the other kinds of intelligence. So I'm not really sure if, these guys who get 95 and 100 end up working for entrepreneurs who are dropouts. So we're looking at a system which is just A to B. It's like this is a process and this is the destination. And I feel the major reason for this is the involvement of parents in decision making. I think parents think that they are responsible for taking decisions on behalf of their kids for I don't know how long. So I guess that's where the problem really lies.
Let me bring in the young people on the panel, because this is what we're talking about. Nazneen joins us. She's a student right now. Nazneen, what kind of pressure did you have to go through during your 12th standard? And did you believe that a lot of your friends or people in your friend circle seemed like they might crack under that pressure?
People did seem like they did crash. They would not be able to put up with the pressure. I myself felt like that sometimes. I had to put up to a lot of expectations, more from some of my teachers. I was apparently on the merit list in my 11th, and after that they were expecting that I would also be on the merit list in the 12th. So that apparently did put a lot of pressure on me. I myself was not being able to cope up very well with that for some time.
And what were the conversations like with your friends in the 12th standard? What were you going through?
I and my friends would try to take off that tension by not really talking about studies. We would talk about anything else but studies. Because we were all going under the same pressure. Everyone being told the same thing.
Right.
I mean, one of my teachers was like, I have a lot of expectations from you.
Right, and Urvaksh, did you believe that your parents were making decisions for you that might have been unfair?
No, I don't believe so, because I actually had decided what I had to do after my 10th standard, but it was that pressure always built on me that you have to get good marks in 12th standard, you have to get good marks in 10th standard, and I was one of the few who was being able to cope up with the pressure, but there are not many such people who are able to cope up with the pressure.
All right, you'll be able to cope with the pressure. I want to bring in the teachers right now. Firoz joins us and Tilak Rustagi joins us. Firoz Ahmad, the teachers are also responsible for the fact that they single out students they expect to excel. And like we've noticed, too, schools also consider this their own merit list. The fact that all of our students scored above 90 or all of our students did a certain way. Is there a lot of pressure that teachers also put on students, perhaps sometimes publicly on a student that is not doing well, gets hauled up in class in front of everybody else to add to the stress?
Faye, first of all, let me congratulate your channel that, all the other channels are focusing on various nitty-gritties of politics, but you have focused on the right thing, and that is the life of these kids, students. And it is a very sad thing, when I received a call from your office that some students have committed suicide. And getting less marks is not the end of the road, as someone has already said. You see, you talked about teachers. Well, all the teachers would love their students to get the highest marks, as high as 100. But at the same time, we tell them that do not get pressurized. You should not have any peer pressure. And even if your parents, they pressurize you to take a particular subject, say you take medicine, you take commerce, you take something else. So you should not be under anybody's pressure. Take the subject of your
that's easier said than done. That's easier said than done to take the subject of your choice. Which parent allows a child to take the subject of their choice? I want to bring in Paras Sharma joins us right now. Paras, how many distress calls? Paras, how many distress calls have you received from young people over the last couple of weeks?
I think at iCall, which is the helpline which I lead, the predominant usage of the helpline is, young people at the helpline. And I think every year in the month of May and June, when these exam results start coming out, we have like all-time record highs at our helpline. I mean, anywhere between 2,000 calls to 3,000 calls a month at a time when the board exam results come out. It's a time of immense pressure. It's a time of immense confusion, and like you said, I think there's a lot of strife, there's a lot of struggle between parents and the students, and more often than not we see that it's the parents who have the final say in the entire issue of which stream is to be selected, often against the wishes of their children.
And what advice are you giving the young people who call you, Paras, the students who call you in distress, not knowing what to do? Because this is, and I want everyone on the channel to know, this is a suicide helpline that people can call if they feel they are in distress. Paras?
Yes. So I think some of the panelists have already mentioned it. I think we try and get people to see the bigger picture, saying that, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's not going to be your class 10 marks, so it's not going to be your class 12 marks which are going to decide where you are in your life. And we try and tell them that, look, this is one of the big landmarks in your life, but it's not the defining moment. I mean, there is scope to come back after this, and it's not that, you know, if you don't get into X college or Y college with 100 percentile or 99 percentile as their cutoff, that your career will be ruined. I mean, there is also some control that you have over your performance as a student. I think that's one thing that we very clearly try to tell students, and I think what we also try to tell parents also is that, you know, it's high time that we also start looking at streams other than medicine, other than engineering, other than MBA, that there are people who are able to create viable and sustainable careers and successful careers in streams apart from you know, these streams. And you know, we ourselves are examples of that. We didn't go the medicine route or the engineering route, and we turned out okay. So I think
in fact, I think what's telling is the fact the number of engineering graduates who don't enter the field of engineering and who actually wind up doing something else because they were never meant to do engineering to begin with. How many engineering graduates have actually become startup, you know, entrepreneurs because engineering was never something that they were actually meant to do. Rashmi is on the phone line.
Flip side, you know, on the flip side, you can also look at the number of people who lose their lives trying to get into the engineering rat race in a place like Kota or something. You know, it's really sad.
Yeah, Rashmi is on the phone line from Navi Mumbai. Rashmi, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, this is means once again I would also like to congratulate and thank for this session that you are having for the interaction of the students' issues. My issue was that my daughter, she just passed out her CBSE 12th. Now the conception is that CBSE board is tougher than the state board. ICSE board is a bit on the higher level than the state board. So why can't the education department keep all the boards at a par?
Yes.
It so happens, you know, means if a person like CBSE itself gives them like heartbeat something, it beats faster. Are CBSE ka math? It's too much. I don't know how you could cope up with that. Some say CBSE 12th standard maths contains CA ka portion. So it is just a request, keep all the boards at a par. So person opting for state board, CBSE board, ICSE board doesn't feel. And all of a sudden, like my personal, like I just had to send my kid for an outing today. She scored 80 in 3 subjects, 50 in maths, which was expected. But all of a sudden in economics, she is scoring 36. Now, I think till now, she's never scored below 50 in economics. All of a sudden 36, and now she's afraid to give her paper for re-evaluation, even rechecking. Mama, might be if I get, they just fail out me or something. So we don't know. Till the end moment, that was just moderation policy issues with CBSE board.
Right. So how is your daughter dealing? How is your daughter dealing with these results right now?
Like she was a bit taken back. Like now she was before like मुझे ICWA करना है, but now she is telling Mama, no, with this month no college would entertain me in this list. I won't get any admission in any good college. So means, you know, somewhere or other I know, me being an MBA graduate, me working with Reliance as a senior manager, I know my daughter. I have been taking
right. So let me get the answer to your question. Vithika Rahul joins us also, and we have Dr. Madhumati Singh. But Vithika, I'll go to you first. The stress about the fact that there's no other college that will accept her now, that her dreams are over, that her life is finished. This sort of stress is fundamentally not true, because there are so many things that a bright young person can do other than perhaps just enter those snooty colleges, let me call them that have a 95% or a 99% cutoff.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to say, that first of all, we need to understand one thing: the exam system that we have today is not measuring you as an individual who is able to do something, but only your short-term memory, how good you can write. This is first thing that we even tell our students now. The problem is that there are certain A-grade colleges and certain B-grade colleges. When we go to buy shoes, we take a branded shoes. Obviously, when it comes to our education system, how can we compromise? This is where the problem is, that we cannot compromise on the kind of colleges that we are going for. Now, there is one very important thing that I would like to tell the mother here. The thing is, our students or our children take us as significant others who are not only mentors, not facilitators, but also guides. Now, during the process, I mean, there's a lot of time when the exam is over and the result is coming. At that particular time, we need to discuss with our children other mode of alternative actions. If this is our plan A, but what if it does not work? Have we made something else? Are our children prepared for something else? We need to think about those other alternatives also, and we need to prepare our children for these other alternatives.
Right, Vithika, I want to bring in Tilak Raj Rustagi, who's a teacher as well, and I want to say from personal experience to all of the young people who are watching, I know that in the 12th standard you have these dreams of who you want to be and what you want to become. Let me promise you that hardly anybody ever becomes what they plan on becoming in the 12th standard, point one. Point two, hardly anybody in your life will ever ask to see your 12th standard marks card. Once you've gotten admission in college, I promise you, nobody wants to see those marks. You're killing yourself over, literally in some cases, over marks that nobody's interested in. Hardly anyone will actually ask you for these marks in the future. Tilak Raj Rustagi, why is it that teachers don't give students this information that later in life these marks are just an entry point into college?
Yeah, actually what is happening is today the parents are making too much interference in the decision making. They say the choice of the subject today is decided by the earning power of the subject and not by the learning power of the subject. That is why too many students are opting for commerce. They don't look whether the child is suitable for maths or not. And they insist that their child should take only maths with commerce. And the end result is that the child, naturally without a choice, fail in the subject or not able to perform. This is the main problem today we are facing. I've been teaching, I'm in the profession for the last 27 years. And same problem is there. The parent come, they say our child will be taking commerce with maths or some difficult subject, which is being decided only by the earning power of the subject and not according to the learning power of the subject. And this is the main problem. Even my child appeared last year in standard 12th, though he got 96%, but still at the last moment we were beggars. Still we were not able to get my child into a right college. Well, so this is one problem today. The society, today we have too much, they say, inequality in the income, but there is inequality in the education also. Why do we need to grade the college as grade A, grade B, grade C? When same type of education, same type of lecturers are there. Why we insist that our child should go in one particular college?
Harsh?
I think the main concern which needs to be addressed is, when someone says that whether a person or a student is suitable enough to learn something or not, I think the hypothesis itself is wrong. I don't think there is any assessment parameter which can judge as to whether a student is suitable enough to learn a particular thing or not. And I'm not even sure if in this century colleges are the only route to learning something. I can type anything on YouTube and learn whatever the hell I want to learn. I don't see colleges as a medium of learning something.
So where is the desperation then for this right college? It's been mentioned twice on the show already. Getting into the right college, getting into the right stream, getting into a paying job, apparently that seems to be the focus.
Because we have defined outcomes, we have defined paths, and we are not, ready to experiment beyond these paths. There is no college or there is no education system which allows students to make mistakes. So you're expecting students to be robots who never make mistakes. And we are setting them up for failure because, 15 years down the line, 20 years down the line, when they're exposed into professional lives, they realize that it's absolutely not the way we expected it to be. So the atmosphere where it's not conducive enough to make mistakes is actually where these students are, just looking at colleges and looking at career paths.
Well, Suman Kumar is on the phone line from Punjab. Suman, go ahead, we can hear you.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Hello.
Go ahead, we can hear you, Suman.
Ma'am, I want to just say that we are just producing robots who are just churning money, and they have no link with the life of problems we are facing after 10 to 15 years.
Yes.
So what is the purpose of such education that we are providing children? They are just becoming machines or not human beings. We don't teach them life skills.
Yeah.
Life skill means how to deal with the problem of this tension, and how to deal with the peer pressure, how to deal with the coming challenges. And one thing more I want to say, there is a lot of gap between what our generation used to read and what the present generation is exposed to. 10 to 15 years gap is a very big gap, and that gap we as parents, we as elder brothers or society or politicians or the government, they are unaware of this thing. This 10 to 15 years down the line, they have been tremendous exposure to the kids. We are not making ourselves up to the mark, the mental level of the child. Today, a 10-year-old child, 15-year-old child knows much more than what 50-year knows.
Right. Let me also bring in Sadia. Sadia is on the phone line from Bangalore. Sadia, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is Sadia Arshad from Bangalore, and good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
I would like to put a point across is that I handle a university program for a company in Bangalore, and this is my privilege that I would like to tell you that I travel a lot of engineering colleges all over India. And when I speak to these engineers who are actually tomorrow's, corporate world, they are going to join, most of them don't have interest at all to do anything in engineering degree further. They just drop out and they just want to do something to do with product design, like designing art, or somebody wants to get into some cultural stuff. And most of them were actually pushed in the first year by their parents, their relatives and things like that, and peer pressure and things like that. And what happened to the people who actually wanted to be engineers never got that opportunity to be an engineer. And they actually repent all their life that because they got less marks, they couldn't be in that particular curriculum. So there has to be a process in India wherein people who are really expecting to do engineering degree has a different kind of examination, or choosing way wherein they can actually get into this curriculum.
Right.
This is my viewpoint strongly.
Right. I also want to bring in Zubin here. Zubin, who's the parent. Zubin, you were talking about what life was like when you did your 12th standard exams. And the thing that I found very interesting is Facebook today is full of parents bragging about their children's exam results. Now, when we were in school, we just had to beat the 3 kids down the road from us, because that's all the information our parents had access to. Our 2 friends and the other children who were living on the street, on the same street as us. Now parents have access to the whole world, and there's the whole world's pressure on them, because from a Facebook point of view and from social networking, they want to be better than everybody else. They want to be able to brag on their Facebook profiles, adding that much more pressure to their children. Zubin, why do parents brag on their Facebook profiles?
Well, I would not call it exactly bragging, because even today, when my son got about 90% of his in HSC, I just put it on the Facebook just so that, I could share the good news with my friends rather than, bragging about it. And, as Urvaksh, who is also there on the panel with me right now, he would always, agree with me that, in terms of even selection for his stream in what he wants to do or what he wants to, gain ahead in life, we as parents have never put much kind of a pressure, except for the fact that yes, we have put some kind of pressure on him in giving his best in his studies, and getting the best of the marks so that he could compete well in the academics as well as in the corporate world going ahead.
Dr. Singh, is that the problem when people share the good news about 90% or 92%, not realizing how much damage it might do to someone who hasn't got 90%?
Absolutely. This is, as we're saying, menace, what we call as social pressure, which is kind of accelerated beyond repair. And thus we can see, as you're telling, a spike in suicide rates. That means that the suicidal cases are much more, and there is a lot of pressure. It's high time that one stops, like one of the parents just mentioned from Punjab, that what are we really doing, this assembly line education that we are giving, and who are the we? The we are the parents, and which means that you need to start directing your child the moment the child is in 10th. Kid, what do you want to do in life? What makes you happy? I think you have an aptitude for this, you may not have an aptitude for that. Direct the child onto what the child is good at. And that's something we need to do to avoid this assembly line psychosis, I would say.
All right, assembly line psychosis, and I want to bring in Harsh. Harsh, tell us, how do we beat this? Because at the end of the day, let's actually be honest about what everybody's saying here. People want their children to get into good colleges, so that they can get good jobs. It's all about fundamentally being able to make money and secure yourself financially. So it's not really about what you do, whether this is what you were meant to do, whether it makes you happy or not. It's fundamentally about being able to make as much money as you possibly can to secure yourself financially.
I think if you look at data, it suggests that productivity and success is a lot related to happiness. I mean, if someone's going to be doing something which he or she is not happy doing, he's definitely not going to be productive and successful while going about it. So the problem, I guess, is that none of the education models available right now in the country are models which can make learning fun. I mean, every model of studying, every model of education is, about pressurizing students, just about getting things right at the first go itself, not making mistakes, scoring high marks. So we are ourselves building these students for failure, because we have correctly defined that this is the right way to do thing and this is the right way to go about a particular thing. So there is no scope for the student to, be curious enough and experiment and further go about as to what he or she can do.
Firoz Ahmad?
I wished our education system was such that the focus was on testing EQ, not IQ. I've been trying for so many years. I've been emphasizing the point that let us stop testing the IQ and let us give more importance to EQ now. We need to change this.
Well, Firoz Ahmad, let's circle back to the fact that we've had this conversation before as well, that our education system is, is not just archaic, it's refusing to move with time, and it's also extremely confused. I mean, if we saw what happened with the CBSE results this year, where the board seemed to have completely lost its process, it seemed fully confused, only adding to the pressure that these children were under. Why is our education system so outdated?
Yes, Faith, once again you have asked a very important question. I just wanted to make a very two very brief points. I heard this young man, that is, I think his name is Harsh, when he said that I need not go to any college if I want to study anything. I can learn it maybe from the Facebook, maybe from certain other sources of information. Perfectly all right. So what he meant was that education has to be learning centric. And for that, you need not go to even a university or college. Of course, you need degrees for getting good jobs. But once again, we have to understand, are we studying to earn money, to get some position, or to be one up against the child of our neighbor or maybe our relative? So these are very petty things. I'll tell you one very interesting incident. Once, in UP, in a village near Saharanpur, I saw a man, he was selling onions on a thela, on a cart, and he was reading Times of India. So I just got confused. I asked him, भाई साहब ये बताइए कि आप अंग्रेजी का अखबार पढ़ रहे हो, ये प्याज बेच रहे हैं? So he said that I did not take my education for earning something. I am earning well by selling onion. So we have to change, very rightly said by you, the question that you have asked. We have to think. And as also, my friend, economics teacher, Tilak Raj said, that the colleges have to be, graded. Say, right. Everyone should not be trying for St. Stephen's College, KM College, Hindu College, St. Xavier's College. I mean, all colleges are important, but why should we? I saw this Hindi medium school where, each and every person wanted to get his or her child in the so-called Delhi grammar school. So we have to be very open when the term education comes into, our point of view.
Okay. NK Sharma is on the phone line from Delhi. NK Sharma, go ahead.
Sure.
I want to say 2 or 3 things.
Yes.
Number one, let us accept that the number of colleges which are reasonable standard is very few. They need to be increased substantially so that a very large number of people can access them, and the excess demand is catered to. Number 2 is, these are all philosophical things that people go to take education. let us put a hand on our heart and answer, how many of us really want to have education? If we take honestly,
right.
It will not even be 0.01%. What happens is that education and monetary part is highly disproportionate to if you get in and if you don't get in.
Right. All right. I'm going to give the last word to Dr. Singh. Dr. Singh, word of advice for all of the parents who are watching this show at this point on what they should be doing to help their young people cope.
First and foremost thing, my request to the parents are that the board results are out. We all know that. Please observe your child, sit with him or her, observe, find out, give directions. If you are not aware, let the kid go for career counseling. Take the kid. There are so many private institutes and private organizations. That is the first point. The second point is, please motivate them into channelizing their energies into what are the second, third, fourth options available. You will have to hold the kid's hand. Please don't leave them unattended. I have seen parents coming up to me in distress saying that my kid has run away from the house and I don't know, the phone is switched off and they are panicking. So I said, do you notice those symptoms a day before? So that's my one request. The second thing is, please try to again bring up the motivation of the kid of what else the kid is good at. What about the co-curricular activities? What is the good thing that the kid has learned in these many years of education? Be with the kid, observe. If there are any depressive symptoms, which may be pathogenic in nature, please take him for therapy, if required, medication. And most important, please tell the kid it's okay. Whatever marks you've got, you've done your best. Let's plan your life ahead, which is positive and good, and you are more important to us. And of course, if you have a second offspring, I'm telling the parents, please do some, like we say, once bitten, twice shy. Please put the kid into career counseling when the kid is in 10th. Start directing the kid after 10th exams. Aapko zindagi mein kya karna hai, kya man hai, what do you enjoy doing? And just enjoy their childhood and let them grow up to be as happy people.
All right, I'm going to close the discussion here, but we'll keep our phone lines on the screen.
Just one thing.
Yes, Firoz.
Very important. You know, this is for parents. And as Zubin rightly pointed out, let us not be the rats in a rat race. And rightly said by Dr. Singh that we should see what the child wants and we should not let the child go alone. We should hold his or her hand wherever he wants to go.
Well, that's all fantastic in theory, but we do understand from this conversation, from other conversations, that it is a toxic cocktail of parents, teachers, parents' relatives and their friends, and peer pressure, and the fact that colleges no longer accept anyone who hasn't scored 95%, that is putting a completely unreasonable level of pressure on these students. How do we expect anybody to cope if this is the kind of system that we keep perpetrating? We need more colleges, we need better colleges, we need colleges that people will aspire to, so that no college in this country should be allowed to have a cutoff of 100%. No college should be allowed to have a cutoff of 99.25%. That's only allowed because of the kind of competition that we have and because of the number of colleges that are just not available to our students. We need to take a step back and take a look at the system that we have built. Our system of education is currently crumbling under its own pressure. We cannot afford to put this kind of pressure on our young people. Thanks for watching.